to infinity and beyond.
Everyone, Roger and James here, founder of the DisKingdom podcast. In this episode, we're going to be talking all about Marvel Heroes Omega. It's officially over. It's cancelled. It's done. It's been canned. We did an episode a couple of weeks ago. We're going, why have they all gone so quiet? It might not be so bad. Something like, and well,
no, it's pretty bad.
It's gone. There was always a 50-50 shot because once a company goes quiet, it's never a good sign. So just to kind of give you the news. The game ends on the 31st of December. Then servers get turned off, so you will not be able to play it after that thing on PC, console. If you log in now, you are given, I think they're giving you like 1,000 G a day bonus. They've reduced all the costs of the items in the store to 1 G. So basically work that out of, you can go in and buy every single character, everything. They've just, and also all the store stuff, so you can't spend any more money. So now, on one hand, it's good. If you haven't played the game, or you've maybe think, get onto it now, get in there, play through the main story, get your achievements or your trophies, play the different characters, enjoy it for. It really does. Just get in there and play it. If you haven't played it and you're a Marvel fan, completely free. Now is a great time to get in there and play through the story mode as one character. Enjoy the story. It is really worth doing, especially if you like Marvel Alliance or Marvel.
Right.
So I really want to say the game itself. I've had a lot of fun playing it. I've really enjoyed it. However, there is an aspect of the trouble to me was once I kind of finished the main story and they had a few terminals, there wasn't enough for me to be brought back, which I think has been one of the big problems. Now, the reason why it's been pulled down was Disney apparently pulled the plug. Went quiet back in October. Staff were leaving. Staff were changing their social media. They went completely silent. They then, as far as it goes, the reason is it's kind of come through on a couple of different things. First off, there was allegations against the CEO. There was sort of some kind of sexual stuff. I don't know what, and that was being put over by the former Twitter and stuff. And generally, in a world where we've got all the issues like with Kevin Spacey, the Harvey Weinstein, at this precise minute, this is very, very hot topic, kind of, and probably from Disney's point of view, don't want any connection to any of this at all. And some people have been blasting Disney for kind of pulling the plug on this, and they shouldn't have. Normally I agree with Disney being very aggressive when it comes to closing games, way too quick to pull the plug when it's not making enough money or anything, and they've never. But this time I was a little bit like, yeah, I don't think they really had a choice on this one.
Not only did they not have a choice on this, but I feel like they actually let it go longer than I probably would have in their position. The console launch, or relaunch, if you will, really was unimpressive in terms of numbers, in terms of revenue stream. I'm sure they had an initial bump, but no one was talking about it outside of the PC players who had been playing for a couple of years, and Disney podcasts such as ourselves. And all the buzz died, and it of course didn't help at all that Path of Exiles launched on consoles very shortly after too, and it's the main competition for Marvel Heroes. Got a lot more positive buzz.
The thing is as well, Marvel Heroes, there were reports and rumors stuck around that they drastically missed their quarter 3 results really badly. The console was essentially supposed to save the game. And it didn't. And the way that the PC players have lost, just continued to tank on the PC, meant their revenue stream from the PC was dying. So we don't necessarily know. It could have been no, they went towards Disney, and Disney could have been like, well, you ain't bringing in any money in it anymore. So apparently, there's been rumors that they tried to buy the company, or they tried to buy all the assets they've got. There's lots of rumors circling around. At the end of the day, it's done. Some people are like, well, why haven't they just sold it on to other? No other game company really would want to buy a 4-year-old game and update it. They'd rather do them, and all the allegations and all the bad feelings with this game. I can't see why anyone would want to pay money for that. So I can understand it. I do agree. Disney needs to start working on post-exit plans on these game-to-life games. The way that they just pull the plug on some of these online systems with 4 to 6, 8 weeks, 2 weeks notice, they need to start having a strategy before they've even launched games, of starting to turn these things off, because I'm feeling like they're way too quick to pull the plug, and not giving people enough notice. There is issues going on. I mean, there is a petition, as you'd expect. Not that I think that will come to anything.
It's not going to do anything.
We've seen these before with other games. One quick thing that there has come up is people putting requests on PlayStation and Xbox for refunds, especially those in the last few months. I think some people say about 90 days. If I had brought that Loki pack last month, I would be extremely, extremely annoyed. The Black Bolt pack, probably the same thing. Even the Age of Apocalypse pack, that was 60 quid. To only get a couple of months out of that is, I personally would say, put in a request. If it gets denied, sorry, but if it does come through, at least I would say give it a go, because even I feel like you're not getting your value's worth of it. Okay, so some people say, well, that. No, if you brought something last month on the PlayStation Network and the game's turned off, that's not good. You're not getting long enough to warrant the value. If I brought Deadpool pack or some other packs back in May, I'm not personally worried. I feel like I got my run out of it. I would have liked more, but if you only brought something last month or even this month, put in a request for it, because they knew what was going on, and I think as a customer, that was wrong.
I agree completely. If you purchased anything recently in the game, particularly the new packs, look into that avenue. The worst they can do is say no.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you buy something in a game like Marvel Heroes Omega, the idea is you're purchasing something that will exist for quite some time. Now, obviously, all these games are going to have to come to an end at some point.
Yeah.
That's just the nature of the beast. But there is an expectation that you will have a certain amount of use out of it. And 1 month, unless you knew unless they had announced that it was closing and they left the packs up and you're like, oh, I'm just going to buy it anyway, then, well, all right, that's you. You know what you're getting out of it. But to have the carpet pulled out from under you, that's not.
No, I there's that part of me that, when you're buying online purchases, the trouble is with online purchases like this anyway, people have a tendency to want to, you buy something and it's yours for life. I have this. I can keep this for the next 60 years, and I can pass it on to, kids, grandkids, whatever.
What is it? Is that Sora?
Yeah, it's a Sora Kingdom Hearts figure. Right. With digital stuff, you can't pass this on. It's not an heirloom. It's literally like buying a coffee or a sandwich. Once you buy it, you enjoy it and you move on. The trouble is, games like to play on the idea that it's a collectible, but in reality, it's a sandwich. And that is kind of an issue. I mean, I've seen lots of people saying, they put 10,000, 1,000 hours into it, and they spent $1,000, and they're annoyed. And I can see why. Yeah, you've put a lot of time and effort and money into this platform, and it's gone. I would say if you've put 1,100 hours into the game, you've probably got your fill out of this one. I think you've done very well out of it. No game will survive forever. No video game, and unfortunately, this is the issue with that kind of thing. I do feel, if you've put thousands of dollars into this game, and at the end of the day, this game could be turned off. People playing World of Warcraft or anything, these games can get turned off within a month's notice. That is what online games are. The way it's gone down is bad. Again, how many game closures have we talked about in the last 2 years? It's just part of becoming like new game announced, game close announced. But because of this online structure stuff, that's what it is. If we took a game like this, once it got released, that was it. That was the end of it. These days are gone, and unfortunately, that's for a bad thing. But these online services get turned off, and unfortunately, people are saying, maybe they should patches, they should, try and turn it on an offline game. They've literally, there is no more work on this game. This is they've done. I think Gazillion are working on another game, so I don't know necessarily. They've not particularly said they're laying people off or anything like that. I think they're maybe being transferred onto a different game, but there doesn't seem to be. There's not this big thing about job closures or anything like that.
No, we haven't heard anything about that. Although there have there has been restructuring in the last several months, and there have been layoffs in the last several months, but nothing massive. Like, they didn't send everyone home the way they did for Disney Infinity when that happened.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's good news, not for the game, but that's good news for the developers. We obviously don't like it when people get mass layoffs. It's just not. That we all sympathize with that.
Apparently, this game did have a number of layers of cutting once the game got released, back even on PC, and the staff were getting less and less each year, kind of thing.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not even just like the staff or whatever, or as a result of there being less staff, there was significantly less content coming out year to year. You know, when the game first launched and for the first year or two on the PC, there was a new character being released once per month. And then this last year, there was only 7 characters released over the course of the entire year. And then the projection for the next year was only, like Carnage and 1 or 2 other characters.
Well, I was just thinking, wasn't it just Carnage is the only character that
I think it might have actually just been Carnage. And, you know, you can see that. And I remember we talked about this when Omega first came out on the consoles. One of my biggest concerns was the fact that they actually were literally not planning on creating any new content. We got a terminal or 2 and a couple of costumes, but everything that was new on the console was something that had already existed on the PC, and they were just trickling it out, like the Loki pack that you talked about earlier. Loki's been in the PC version for 3 or 4 years already.
It's like Black Bolt, Venom, you know. The trouble is, to me, this whole thing of an online service, I don't feel like Gazillion had the infrastructure or the size to implement it properly. You know, this kind of game needs continuously upgrade. You know, this thing about, you know, like these people that say they put 1,000 hours into it. I mean, I'm probably easily 60, 70 hours over the course of 3-4 years. A new character comes out, new terminal, new thing. I go in, but I'm not the kind of player that would have gone back in and done raid and just doing that constant grind, because, well, Mario Odyssey's out, and I'll jump to the next game the minute something else comes. That's the majority of console players. And PC players, they will jump the minute something new flavor comes out.
See, and this is actually an interesting perspective, because I was actually the opposite with this game. I played every single PC character that came out, with the exception of Carnage, if he actually did come out. And I played through the story mode with every single character. I got every single character in the PC version to level 60 at least once. According to Steam, I put 788 hours into this game. Yeah. That is more than any other 5 games combined.
Yeah.
Maybe not counting like Final Fantasy 3 from the Super Nintendo, because I have no idea how many hours I put into that. But yeah, for me, this was a game that I got a ton of play out of. I stopped playing around the time the consoles came out because I hated what they had done to the inventory system. Everything else, the crafting was kind of crap too, but the inventory system destroyed it for me. I could not play the console version. And once I was done with the console version, the fact that they had come out and said there was no new PC content, I was just like, you know what? Now it's time to go off and do some single players. But what you're talking about, where gamers would go on to other games, and when I actually didn't, there was probably like a year or so, I'd pick up the major release. I'd play through like Mass Effect, or I'd play through, the original Force Unleashed game, stuff like that. But I would always end up coming back to Marvel Heroes Omega. It was my staple game for probably 2 years. And, me saying that, you'd probably be like, oh, I'm all broken up about it. I'm like, you know what? I said goodbye to this game several months ago.
I mean, the trouble is, I think a lot of PC players, the Steam numbers were just dropping week on week. They were abandoning the game. The negativity in the community, generally, that's been like that. It's been bad for a while, but the last year has been worse, because essentially the PC players were getting so many of them were getting frustrated with the lack of content. This whole trouble as well for me is this is an online service that literally barely even launched properly till June. This game only officially got released on consoles in June, and here we are 4 months later. The game's now done. It was literally a last-ditch effort. I do feel like, as much as these allegations were one issue, I think the PC issue, maybe they weren't taking enough money. There's been tons of different issues. And a lot of that as well, you do have to put back onto the team that were making it, going, were they being over ambitious? Did they not have enough support? Did they not? The game wasn't hitting where it should have been hitting for a Marvel type game.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna make a little speculation here. I think that this game actually screwed up before it even came out, and I'm talking about the PC version here. Now, when it first came out, this idea of games as services was still very much brand new.
Yeah.
Free to play was still kind of finding its mark, and I think the real problem here is that they never built in proper tools on their end to create content in a streamlined and easy fashion.
No.
Over the course of the last 4 years that we've had this game, the amount of new non-character content, that is raids, terminals, new levels, new story modes, new flashpoints, whatever, has been absolutely abysmal. And that's because they didn't have an easy way of creating new quality levels. If they had built that in from day one, we might be talking about something completely different right now.
And I remember back to the Disney Infinity 2.0 dungeon crawlers that they had, and they were automatically generated. Something like that could have worked quite well, of giving people different options and stuff. It's like, I feel it came to console way too late. They should have came to console when they introduced controller support a year or two beforehand. It should have probably been out on every. Also, the whole free-to-play model doesn't work with consoles the same way. There's so many games that, console players have a tendency to spend money, and they are used to paying. This is not like this where 98% of people don't spend any money. Console players spend money on games. They appreciate that they have to pay money to play. PC owners are the same. So many bad mistakes, and I'm surprised it did last as long as it did, but personally it feels like this game, there were so many errors coming up to it, and I think Disney pulling the plug, whatever was going on with the allegations is one thing, but I also think they just weren't taking enough money for Marvel. They've got Avengers, they've got Spy, they got some big games coming out, and this game was feeling like a low-end mobile game because, like you say, I don't think it was just bringing in the money.
It wasn't bringing in money. There wasn't new content. So if you went through the story mode with 5 different characters, or with every single character, which was literally about 70 of them, it was the same experience for all of them. There was virtually nothing separating the experiences. So, yeah, it's frustrating because it was a really good game, especially on the PC. The Omega port, inventory aside, was a decent port. But yeah, they didn't adapt to what the current market is, and they didn't do it right, which is too bad. But I hope that Marvel Heroes Omega getting canceled will give us something in the future. Honestly, yeah, I'd be absolutely down for Ultimate Alliance 3 as long as it's better than the ports of 1 and 2 on the Xbox
One
and PS4.
Well, it's like if you took the original story mode and just if they'd released that as an offline game, and you could play as all 60 characters or the 50 characters, they probably could have sold that as an experience for 50 quid, and that would have just been an offline game. The online content, it seemed to me that they spent a lot of time tinkering. They were constantly tinkering with updating graphics because it was a 4-year-old game and trying to get it up running. They were forever tinkering and altering, but they were never creating the new content. And I think there was that thing of that ultimately, I think, came the biggest issue, because I think as well players got bored and I think they moved on.
And the other thing is, especially if you're a PC player, you've been here for a long time, they were fixing things that weren't broken in favor of not fixing things that were legitimately broken. PvP, at least on the PC side, existed in that game since almost the beginning. I think it launched a couple of months after the game itself did. I never participated in it, but if you went to any of the communities for 4 years, it was nonstop. When are you going to fix the PvP? And they never did.
No. I think as well, I just don't think the team was big enough to do the job that they needed to. And the trouble is as well, was the Marvel branding carrying something that probably, had it not had the Marvel branding, would have worked. Because I know, like you say, a lot of players jumped over to other games and stuff. And it's a real shame because I really did enjoy playing this game and I like doing it. But once I played through the main story, it didn't really, for me, that was kind of the end of it. Because I'm not a grinding fan of just leveling up characters for the sake of leveling up. Now, get Iron Man up to level 40 playing through the main story. Well, why do I need to go to 60? I've done it. It's...
And on the console, there was no end game. There were no raids in the console version, so there was no reason to get to 60 except to say that you did it.
Yeah, and that's not, for me, that's not a big enough reason. It's like, oh no, something else is out. It's just, and I do wonder whether or not console players did that. And because I do feel console players are probably a lot more fickle than PC players.
Yeah, it's a different market, and it's also the PC market is different from when Marvel Heroes launched. The free-to-play model has matured, not necessarily for the better, but it's changed, it's adapted. We now have an idea of what a free-to-play game is supposed to offer and what it's supposed to cost for people who are actually willing to put some money into it. And Marvel Heroes and Marvel Heroes Omega never adapted to it.
No. So if you're feeling like you need some Marvel love for consoles, go get yourself Lego Marvel 2 because that's a lot.
We're doing another podcast on that one.
Yeah,
we have a lot of very positive things to say about that. Go check out Level Marvel.
Yeah. So on that note, let us know what you guys think of Marvel Heroes Omega closing. Love to know your thoughts on it. Like I said, it's just a real mess. It's so much. In some ways, we all saw it coming. So much more. I think that was the thing. I think we did see it coming. We knew it wasn't far off. But I'd love to know your thoughts on it. As per usual, check us out over at DisKingdom.com. Subscribe on the different platforms. Check us out on social media, etc. James, where can they find you?
Find me heroiclegacy.com.
And on that note, guys, thank you very much for watching and listening. See you guys soon. Later.